Today we're talking about the water cycle in one of the most driest regions, the Sahara Desert. So Kim,
Yes, Angelica.
what is the water cycle?
Well, I'm glad you asked because it's something that I've been pondering a lot. And according to these notes that you've so artfully written, it says that the water cycle is a process by which water circulates between the Earth's oceans, atmosphere, and land. As precipitation and rain and snow, it comes down on the land. And then it drains back in streams and rivers into the oceans, and then returns to the atmosphere through evaporation and transpiration.
Yeah.
That I'm amazed.
So, how does the pollution affect the water cycle?
Well, pollution, the smog in the air, once it rains, the rain will bring down all of the pollution with it. So that affects our crops, it affects everything that's growing. It even affects the acid in the rain, even causes rock erosion because it reacts with some of the chemicals in the rock and causes erosion that way too. And within Cairo, our city, it's quite polluted, so you can imagine that the rain that falls on us when it does rain is pretty acidic.
Egypt was actually underwater, and the desert of today was then called the Tethys Sea. In that sea swam sharks, whales, and prehistoric dinosaur marine animals. Whale Valley was the discovery site for prehistoric whale fossils. Here in the desert we have discovered nemulites, ancient single-celled invertebrates that created spiral-shaped shells, and their fossils litter the desert floor today.
So what are you going to talk about?
Well, I'm going to talk about the fact that I wondered, does it ever rain in the desert? And I read that the last significant rain was 6 years ago. Can you believe that? But it does rain almost every year, and if it rains enough, apparently the desert turns green and blooms. Because down here in the sand, little seeds and roots are just waiting for enough water to bring them back to life. And it's probably totally amazing.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
What can I do for you?
So I was wondering what factors affect the water cycle.
Well, it's interesting you ask because I'm a realtor, and one of the factors is what realtors always talk about is location, location, location. Where you are kind of during the water cycle. Another thing that can affect the water cycle is the amount of solar radiation that can reach the Earth. For example, down here, we don't get much solar radiation because it's hard. But if you go way up here, we're closer to the sun now, so we'd get more. Or less. I'm not sure. But it would change. The other thing that determines the amount of solar radiation is the temperature. Like right now, it's getting warm. So if it's cold, in fact, I'm going to have to start taking some clothes off because it's getting so warm. The amount of solar radiation... Oh, yeah. So temperature also can affect how much evaporation in this water cycle. Anything else?
Nope, not really.
I could talk to you about nuclear fusion if you'd like.
No thanks.
Okay.
Mr. Godfrey, how you feel about the water cycle here?
I think there is no precipitation. There is very high evaporation. There's no transpiration. It's time for my expiration.